Today you are going to use your printing plate to make several prints or copies of your ice cream cone or cupcake or popsicle. Now remember, we are doing this in the style of pop art, so your colors should be bright, should be bold, and they don't have to be realistic. So even though ice cream cones are normally like a brownish kind of tan color, yours could be blue or orange or red. The colors are really up to you. Remember that we are not doing anything in the background. Eventually we're going to cut out what you print, so we're only coloring inside your sweet treat. Now the most important part today is that when you're coloring, when you color with a marker, this has kind of like a chiseled tip. So if you color with the tip kind of up and down, you get like a very kind of thin pointy line. You don't want to color like that on your printing plate or it will take you forever, and it also might damage your printing plate. Instead, you want to use kind of this chiseled kind of flat edge right here so that when you color, you are making a nice broad line, a thicker line. So when you guys are ready to begin, really make sure that when you're coloring kind of that broad line and not the skinny line. That will take you a long time. Again, the color choices are up to you. When you're coloring on the styrofoam, you might notice that the marker is not really drying, which is a good thing, but you also want to be careful. If you color a whole bunch of blue on your styrofoam and then you use a lighter color like yellow and color next to it or on top of it, you're going to get the top of the yellow all blue as well. So sometimes using colors that are similar or close together on the color wheel, like cool colors or warm colors, tend to work best. So I'm going to do a blue cone. So I'm going to use, again, not the very tip. I'm going to kind of just color on the side of my marker gently. And I'm coloring, and you do want to go outside of your line a little bit. So I'm not coloring the background, but I do want to go a little bit over my line. And again, eventually these will be cut out, so don't worry if you accidentally go over the line or over the edges. So you're going to keep on coloring, color neatly. And again, I think it looks much more interesting if you want to do a blue cone. Maybe try to find two different kinds of blues and kind of layer those in together. And I will keep on coloring until I have finished the inside part. So this printing plate is ready to print. Again, notice there's no white spaces left, and notice that I did color a little bit outside my edge, and you want that to happen. So if you didn't have that happen, go ahead and just kind of add that little outline on the edge there. I'm going to take this and we're going to do our first print. You are going to have a very large piece of paper and you're going to do several prints on this piece of paper. So it does not make sense to do your very first one smack dab in the middle. You want to kind of get it up near the corner so you can do several copies on the same paper. You need your paper to be slightly damp because this marker has probably dried some since you colored. So you have to find that happy medium between damp or dry and wet. So you're going to get a little sponge and you're going to squeeze it very gently and carefully over the water cup. If your hand's kind of wet, just kind of dry it off on the paper towel at your table. And you're just going to do a part of the paper, so wherever you're going to make your print. You can use the flat side, you can kind of hold it up, doesn't really matter, but again, you need your paper to be damp. If it looks really, really soaking wet, then you probably have a little bit too much water. If you don't really see a nice kind of shine on your paper, then it's probably a little bit too dry. Printmaking is kind of a trial and error art form. Sometimes your first print doesn't look so great, and that's okay. You can simply color it again and try it again. So I'm just gonna kind of hold my paper up. I can kind of sort of see there's a little bit of a shine to it, which means that I think I'm ready to go ahead and make my first print. Some kind of paper peeling off there. So I'm going to take my printing plate and I'm going to put it marker side down, again near the top, and I can kind of sort of see from the back. Once you set it down, you cannot pick it back up. If it's moving or sliding around, or you pick it up and put it back down again, you are not going to get a very good print. The other important thing is that you need to really kind of give the back a massage. Again, don't use your nails, don't pound it, kind of just take your hand or your fist and just gently kind of smooth over all of the areas. You should be able to kind of sort of see your lines through the back of your printing plate. Make sure you've gone over everything, and if you have, then you will gently peel up your printing plate and see the awesome print left behind. So it looks really good. This one's a really nice print. There's not really any kind of parts that look kind of washed away. That's a good one. You are making several copies, and again, you want your colors to be very different. Some people make a bad print and they decide to kind of recolor with the same colors and try it again. That's fine. If you want to use similar colors here, you don't need to clean your printing plate. But again, let's say that this time I want a yellow cone. There's still a lot of blue on here, so if you're going to completely change colors, I would prefer that you take a wet paper towel. You can use some of the water in your kind of cup. And just kind of clean that printing plate off to get a lot of the marker off. That way we aren't getting my marker tips all kind of mixed together. When you do this, again, just be gentle. If you're doing it really hard, you might put dents in your printing plate, and you don't want to see those little marks. So you don't have to clean it off in between prints, but again, a lot of times it does look kind of cool to see your colors mixed, but if you know you're going to use something totally different than what you did, then it might be a good idea to go ahead and clean it off. So I'm simply going to just repeat this process. I'm going to color it new colors, I'll print it down. Sometimes you get good ones, sometimes you get bad ones, and your goal should be to have lots of copies. If you run out of paper, then I have extra paper for you to use.